At 6:14 a.m. on a gray Tuesday in late October, a 10-week-old cream British Shorthair kitten was left in a wicker basket on the front porch of a woman who had not opened her door for anyone in almost a year. There was no note, no caller, no way of knowing who had chosen that exact house on that exact morning. But when Eleanor Brooks opened the door to bring in the newspaper, she looked down and saw two copper gold eyes staring up at her through the edge of the basket. And for the first time in 11 months, she felt something other than the silence she had been trying to hold up by herself. Eleanor Brooks was 38 years old. She had been a piano teacher for 15 years before her mother got sick, and a full-time caregiver for 2 years after. She hadn't played a note since the funeral. The piano was still in the living room, covered with a white sheet her mother had sewn herself years ago, sitting in the corner like furniture that belonged to a different person. Eleanor had inherited the house, her mother's music sheets, her mother's record collection, and a kind of quiet she did not know how to live inside. Her friends had still called sometimes, at first every week, then every month, then not at all. Grief, it turned out, was something most people ran out of patience for before you were done with it. She almost stepped on the basket. That was how she told the story later. The basket was small, woven, the kind you might use to carry flowers, and someone had tucked a soft cream blanket inside it. The kitten curled up on the blanket weighed less than 2 pounds. 10 weeks old, the vet would later estimate. Cream coat, copper gold eyes, tiny white mittens on every foot, and the round face and plush fur that made her unmistakably a British Shorthair. Eleanor stood in her doorway in her robe at 6:14 a.m. and stared at the kitten for a full minute. She did not know what to do. She had not been responsible for keeping anything alive in a very long time. Then the kitten yawned, and Eleanor, who had not laughed out loud in 11 months, let out a soft, surprised sound that was almost a laugh. Her first thought was that someone had made a mistake. Her second thought was that she would sort it out in the morning. Her third thought, which arrived around lunchtime while the kitten slept on her knee and her tea went cold in her hands, was that she had no idea how long it had been since something warm had touched her without her asking for it. She drove to the pet store on the edge of town. She bought food, a litter box, a tiny gray bed, and a small wand toy she wasn't sure she'd ever use. She told the cashier very firmly, "This is temporary." The cashier, a woman named Maggie with reading glasses on a chain, looked at Eleanor, then at the kitten in the carrier, then back at Eleanor, and smiled the way people smile when they know something you don't yet know. Of course, love, temporary. Eleanor named her Clementine that night because the kitten's coat was the exact color of the last clementine her mother had ever peeled, sitting in the sunlight by the kitchen window 9 months before the end. Clementine was not a polite kitten. She had an opinion about everything. She had an opinion about closed doors, about the exact temperature of her food, about whether Eleanor was allowed to take phone calls in the kitchen or needed to relocate immediately. She had an opinion about the vacuum cleaner, which she considered a personal enemy, and about the mailman, whom she surveilled daily from the back of the couch like an intelligence officer. On her 6th morning in the house, she knocked a ceramic mug off the counter and made direct eye contact with Eleanor while she did it. And Eleanor, who had been standing at the sink wondering if she had the energy to finish the dishes, laughed. Really laughed. The kind of laugh that catches you by surprise and comes out louder than you meant it to. This is the kind of quiet miracle that deserves to be seen by more people. I see you're still here, but you haven't subscribed yet. I'm not going to pretend that doesn't sting a little. Hit that subscribe button. What happens next is the reason I wanted to tell you this story.
Clementine started doing things Eleanor hadn't asked her to do. She learned the exact moment Eleanor came home from the grocery store and waited on the second step of the stairs. She slept in the crook of Eleanor's arm like she had been doing it her whole life. She pressed her tiny forehead against Eleanor's forehead in the mornings, the way British Shorthairs do. A quiet greeting that means, "I see you, I know you, I am here." Eleanor started talking out loud again, first to Clementine, then to herself, then eventually to her mother's photograph on the mantel, the one she had walked past every day for almost a year without looking at. She began leaving the curtains open in the living room for the first time since the funeral. Stories like theirs deserve to be shared with anyone who still thinks healing has to be loud to be real. It happened on a Sunday afternoon in the middle of December. Clementine had decided, for reasons known only to her, that the white sheet covering the piano was unacceptable. She attacked it. She batted at the corners with all four mittened paws. She tunneled underneath it and rolled and wrestled until the sheet slid off in a heap on the carpet, exposing the polished black wood Eleanor had not touched since March. Clementine sat on top of the piano with the dignity of someone who had just completed a long and important mission. Eleanor stood in the doorway of the living room for a long time. The kitten watched her. Her tail flicked. She waited. And Eleanor slowly crossed the room, sat down on the bench, lifted the lid, and placed her fingers on the keys. The first note she played was the opening of a piece her mother had taught her when she was 9 years old, a Chopin nocturne, slow and forgiving. Clementine purred from the top of the piano, a deep rumble that Eleanor could feel through the wood under her hands. Eleanor cried, but she kept playing. She played that nocturne all the way through for the first time in almost 2 years, and a cream British short-haired kitten watched her from above like she was the most important person in the world. This is the kind of moment the world should witness more often. 3 weeks after the piano, Eleanor called one of the friends who had stopped calling. 2 weeks after that, she played at her neighbor's Christmas Eve gathering for the first time in 2 years. In February, she started taking on students again. 3 children the first month, then 5, then 7 by the spring. Clementine sat on top of the piano during every single lesson, judging each small musician silently and with great dignity, the way only a British Shorthair can. Eleanor's students called her the assistant. Their parents asked if she came with the class. Eleanor is 38 years old. Clementine is 8 months old now and weighs exactly 7.5 pounds. The wicker basket is still by the front door, even though nobody needs it anymore. She keeps it because she doesn't want to forget what arrived in it. And she still doesn't know who left Clementine on that porch on that gray Tuesday morning in October. She has stopped trying to find out. Some gifts arrive without a return address for a reason. Because sometimes the thing that saves you doesn't look like salvation at first. Sometimes it looks like 2 copper gold eyes in a basket at 6:14 a.m. on a morning you almost didn't open the door. Sometimes it looks like a 10-week-old kitten pulling the sheet off a piano you were never going to play again. Sometimes healing doesn't arrive as a decision you make. It arrives as a small, warm creature who decides you are worth staying for and quietly waits for you to remember that too. Did Clementine choose Eleanor, or did Eleanor finally choose herself back? Tell me in the comments.